At our big family Easter, I cooked, paid for catering, and set everything up, then Dad called me just a guest. I didn't argue. I grabbed my bag, cut the power, and watched their perfect day fall apart. Hey there, I'm Evan, and I'm 28. I guess the best way to kick this off is to say that I used to think family loyalty actually meant something. You know, like if you showed up, gave your time, your money, and your care, people would notice and it would count for something. But this last Easter kind of blew that belief out of the water. I'm the oldest sibling by a long shot. My brother Jeremy is just 22. When I was 16, my dad remarried not long after my mom passed away. It still hurts to even write that down. Her death just shattered everything, and while I did what I could to keep us together, Dad seemed to move on at lightning speed. Within a year, he was seeing this woman named Karen. Yes, it's as cliché as it sounds. By the time I graduated high school, she was already moving in with us, and it felt like our home was gone. It wasn't so much a family after that but more like a jumbled mix that heavily favored Karen and Jeremy. I really tried at first. I mean, I helped Jeremy with his homework, brought home groceries, and even worked a part-time job during college to chip in. Karen always acted polite, but it was that kind of forced nice, like when someone grins at a cashier but won't make eye contact. And Dad? He just faded away, started missing my recitals, blowing off movie nights, and canceling our spring Fatherson trips. He'd say he was busy, but really, he just stopped making an effort. I finally moved out at 20 when I couldn't stand being a third wheel in my own house anymore. But even then, I didn't totally cut ties. I'd still show up for birthdays, mail gifts, and call every Sunday without fail. It was like I kept hoping, maybe next time they'll really see me. Maybe next time things will change. Spoiler alert, they didn't. This year, Karen decided to host this huge Easter party and posted about it in our group chat like it was some big reveal. Backyard egg hunt, catered food, family traditions, the whole 9 yards. I rolled my eyes but decided to go anyway because Jeremy asked me personally, and I thought, hey, why not? I had the day free, and maybe this was a chance to reconnect. So, I walked into their house, still holding on to some hope that it might feel like home again. The day started off okay. Karen was directing everyone like she was running a restaurant. Evan, you handle the backyard, set up the egg hunt, clean the tables, and make sure there are enough juice boxes for the kids. Don't forget the plastic cutlery. No please or thank you, just orders. I didn't argue, I just smiled, nodded, and got to work. It's like I'm on autopilot with this stuff now. I cleaned the backyard, arranged the plastic eggs, set out the tablecloths, and even fixed a few chairs. When the catering service called saying they forgot the vegetarian dish, I ran to the store and spent $174.63 of my own money. Didn't get paid back, by the way. Around 3 p.m., people started pouring in, cousins, in-laws, mostly Karen's side of the family. I was the only one running around in a grass-stained shirt while everyone else looked like they just stepped out of a catalog. Karen's sister even approached me with this overly cheerful tone, saying, "Oh, you must be the one setting everything up. You're doing such a good job." It was so fake it made me want to both laugh and scream. Even my own uncle didn't recognize me at first. Jeremy gave me a quick side hug and muttered, "Glad you came, man," before vanishing with his girlfriend. As the day went on, I realized something: no one had saved me a seat at any of the tables. I kept telling myself it was just a mistake, and that someone would notice and fix it. But as more people arrived and grabbed seats, I was left standing there, holding a plastic cup of lukewarm lemonade with a forced smile. Finally, Karen announced that dinner was ready, and people started lining up at the buffet with paper plates, laughing and chatting away. I was hanging by the folding table where I'd set out the forks when it happened. I was adjusting a napkin holder when I heard my dad's voice, sharp and loud enough for people around us to stop talking. "Evan," he said, not even looking at me, "you're just a guest in this family now. Don't overstep." It felt like getting sucker punched. At first, I couldn't even process it, thinking maybe I'd misheard. But then Karen, standing right next to him with her arms crossed, chimed in, "It's not your place to run things here," with that smug little grin, like she'd been waiting forever to say it. I glanced at Jeremy, my little brother who used to be my shadow when we were kids. He met my eyes but looked away, not saying a word. I didn't cry or yell, I just stood there, feeling invisible and wondering how the hell things ended up like this. So there I was, holding this dumb plastic cup, feeling totally out of place in a family I once fit into. I just walked inside, grabbed my bag from where I dropped it earlier, and started unplugging stuff. The Wi-Fi router? Yeah, that was mine, I bought it last year when theirs broke, but nobody ever bothered to replace it. The backyard speakers? Also mine. I lent them for Jeremy's graduation ages ago and never got them back. And surprise, the generator keeping the catering warm was mine too. I bought that during a snowstorm last winter and left it with Dad just in case. I lugged all this stuff to my car, feeling like a switch had flipped inside me. Years of just going along with things and swallowing my feelings had vanished. I wasn't done yet. I strolled to my car, trying to keep it cool even though I was seriously ticked off. It didn't help that I'd just been told, right in front of everyone, that I didn't belong to my own family anymore. But I wasn't gonna cry, not for them, not anymore. As I loaded my stuff into the trunk, I saw Jeremy watching me from the kitchen window. He didn't come out or say anything, just stared. It was almost funny, maybe he was shocked I wasn't quietly sneaking off like I usually did. But not this time. After loading everything up, I sat in the car with the engine running and opened this folder on my phone labeled Shared Expenses. It was full of stuff my family had conveniently forgotten I'd been paying for, like the car insurance. When Dad totaled his car a few years back, I co-signed for a new one and got him a good rate through my provider. He never changed it, so I was stuck paying the monthly premiums, probably out of guilt or habit. I still had all the account logins and control. The big shocker was that I wasn't just paying for the Wi-Fi or their Amazon Prime. I was also the guarantor on their new HVAC system. When their old one broke during a massive heat wave, they asked me to co-sign with the contractor. I didn't even think twice, just signed and paid the first installment to get things started. Well, I pulled up that contract, unlinked my card, and canceled autopay since they hadn't made enough consistent payments. I logged into the electric company, paused the payment, and texted customer service saying I wasn't living at that address anymore. They replied super fast confirming they'd sorted out with the primary account holder. That gave me a good laugh. I even canceled the car insurance policy. Then I screenshotted everything and emailed it to Dad with the subject, "Since I'm just a guest, here's what I'll stop providing." After hitting send, I drove off. 5 minutes later, the calls started rolling in, first Jeremy, then Karen, then Dad. None of them left voicemails, and I didn't pick up. I just drove to my apartment, made myself a PB&J with the crust cut off like when I was a kid. I needed something comforting. An hour later, Jeremy texted, "Dude, what's going on?" After thinking it over, I replied, "Just a guest, remember?" No response. Next morning, I woke up to a bunch of missed calls from Karen, 2 emails from Dad, one angry, one concerned, and a voicemail from my aunt saying she'd heard things got tense and maybe I was overreacting. Overreacting? I'd helped organize and even paid for the whole family gathering, only to be told I didn't belong. But sure, I was the problem. They underestimated me. That afternoon, the power went out at their house. I knew because Jeremy texted, "Power's off, did you do something?" I waited a bit, then replied, "You'd have to ask the family, I'm just the guest." A couple of hours later, my dad left me a voicemail. His voice was tight, controlled, but there was a hint of disbelief. "Evan," he said, Hey, I thought we really needed to chat because things kind of went off the rails. Karen shouldn't have said what she did, and I definitely didn't mean it how it sounded. You know I value everything you've done. Let's talk, please." But I didn't reply right away. I needed him to really feel it because this was about so much more than just Easter, folding chairs, or plastic eggs. It was about all those times my effort was ignored, every holiday brushed aside, all those calls that went unanswered. It was about feeling like an outsider in the same house where I once heard bedtime stories and cooked pancakes on Sundays. It was about the kid who saw his dad move on too quickly and kept hoping, year after year, to be seen again. And finally, I was. But I wasn't finished yet. I waited a full day before even considering calling him back, not because I was playing games, but because I needed time to think, to breathe, and not just react like I always used to. I wanted to be clear-headed, not just waiting for an apology or excuse, but ready to hear what he had to say when he wasn't in control. So, the next evening around 6 p.m., I finally called. He picked up right away, saying my name like it was a lifeline. "Thanks for calling. I don't know what Karen said or what you think I said." "No," I cut in, "don't start there. You know exactly what was said. Don't pretend it didn't happen." There was silence on his end, and I could hear him breathing but he didn't interrupt. "I want to make one thing clear," I continued. "You said I was a guest, right in front of your wife, your son, and everyone there. You said I didn't belong after I spent my whole Sunday and half my paycheck making sure your family gathering was perfect." "Evan, it was exactly about that," I replied. "You made a choice, and I made mine." He let out a sigh, and his voice took on that familiar frustrated tone I knew from when I was a teenager, the one he used to sound like the adult in the room. "I think you're overreacting. Cutting the power, taking the speakers, that's punishing everyone for one sentence." I almost laughed. One sentence? That sentence wasn't a slip-up, it's how you've treated me for years. It just slipped out this time. He was quiet again. "Look," he finally said, softer, "I get it, things haven't been perfect. But you've always been the strong one. You've always handled things better than Jeremy. That's why I leaned on you. I thought you could take it." There it was, the truth behind a decade of unfair expectations. "You thought I could take it, so you did nothing to stop it," I said. "You let her treat me like a servant, let Jeremy escape responsibility, and never once asked how I was doing. And when I finally stopped, I'm the dramatic one." "That's not what I'm saying, it's exactly what you're saying," I replied, feeling something inside me solidifying, not anger or bitterness, just a final sense of being done. "Here's the thing, I'm not mad, I'm finished. I'm done trying to prove I belong to people who only notice me when I'm useful. You want the power back on, pay the bill yourself. You want car insurance covered, transfer the policy. The HVAC? That debt's yours now. I'm not carrying this anymore." I let the silence settle again. "You made me the guest, Dad, so I'm checking out." I hung up before he could reply. I didn't block him or send a dramatic follow-up email. I just quit playing the role they'd cast me in. The days that followed were quiet, tense, but quiet. No more calls, no more texts. I heard from my cousin, one of the few who still talks to me, that things went south after Easter. Karen blamed Jeremy for not handling it, Jeremy blamed Karen for making it worse, and my dad tried to smooth things over. But when the AC stopped working in the middle of a heat wave, that broke his calm. They had to fork out cash for an emergency repair. Turns out, when you remove the responsible person from the mix, everything falls apart. I focused on my own life, took a few days off work, slept in, ate well, cleaned up my apartment, and for the first time, I wasn't weighed down by being the good son, the fixer, the one who held the family together with duct tape and denial. A week later, Jeremy showed up at my place. I heard a knock and saw him through the peephole. He looked kind of sheepish, sweaty, like he'd been running around. So, I'm pacing the hallway, right, and he just goes, "Hey." I just raise an eyebrow at him. "You could have texted," I say, and he admits, "I figured you wouldn't answer." I just stand there quiet, letting him stew in it. After a second, he blurts out, "I didn't know about everything, the payments, catering, insurance. I didn't realize how much you were doing." I lean against the doorframe, arms crossed, and tell him, "You didn't care to know." He nods, admitting, "Yeah, I didn't. I just got used to you handling everything. I guess I thought you liked it." I give him a look that says, "Do I look like I liked it?" He gets it, he smiles faintly, looking down. It's weird, but for once, he seems like he's not here to argue. He tells me he talked to Dad, who, of course, is doing his usual blaming thing, trying to guilt trip me. Jeremy adds, "I want to fix things with you, not for them, just us." There's finally no smugness in his face, just honesty. "You want to fix it?" I ask. "Then start by not needing me to do all the work." He nods, "Fair enough." I open the door wider and offer, "Want some water?" He exhales like he's been holding his breath forever. "Yeah, that would be great." We sit down in my kitchen, and something shifts, not fully healed, but at least it feels like we're breathing again. I know Dad's going to keep calling, and Karen might send some guilt-trippy email, but I'm not playing the game anymore. This time, the usual guest has left for good. Jeremy and I talk for almost 2 hours that night about everything, the Easter disaster, the years of imbalance, the quiet resentments. I always felt like the backup guy, the one making everything work while Dad and Karen treated Jeremy like the golden child. But Jeremy doesn't make excuses, he actually listens. "I think I was just lazy," he admits. "It was easier to let you handle it all, and I guess I thought if no one asked you to stop, then it must have been fine." "That's the problem," I say quietly. "No one ever asked if it was okay. They just assumed." He nods, taking it in, "I'm sorry, man." And weirdly, I believe him. For the first time in a long time, it feels like I'm talking to my brother again, not the family favorite, but the guy who used to sneak candy into my room during finals week or beg me to play Mario Kart late into the night. The version of him I knew before favoritism messed everything up. I don't say it's okay, because it's not, but I do say thanks, and for now, that's enough. The next few weeks are uneventful in the best way possible. I go to work, come home, watch old movies, and cook for myself instead of living off takeout. My apartment becomes my safe space, not just a stopover between disasters. It's the calmest I've felt since college. Dad keeps trying to reach out at first, subtle stuff like memes and calendar invites to family brunch, which I just decline. Then come the apology texts, each more desperate than the last. Stuff like, "We were all stressed that day," or, I didn't mean it like that." One text says, "You're tearing us apart," and it actually makes me laugh. Me, the one holding everyone together, tearing them apart? No way. I'm just done being the glue. Dad doesn't reply to that one. Then comes the final straw. 3 weeks after Easter, he emails me, not to apologize, but to guilt trip me. "Karen is heartbroken, Jeremy's upset. You've made your point, but maybe it's time to stop punishing everyone." That word, punishing, lights something inside me. Let's be clear, I didn't do this to hurt anyone. I needed to be heard, to end the cycle, to remind them that I'm not just the dependable footnote in their lives. Apparently, standing up for myself is punishment. So, I write back, "You want to talk about punishment? Let's talk. For 10 years, I helped with your bills, your car, your home. Paid for groceries, Jeremy's college fees, lent Karen money for a wellness retreat she never repaid. I was the backup wallet, organizer, emotional support. I planned birthdays, called every Sunday. You forgot my birthday twice. Last Christmas, a $20 gift card for me, a laptop for Jeremy. I already had a good setup," you said. "And on Easter, after I did all the work, you just stood there." So, I basically cut ties with my family and told them I was just a guest, not someone they could push around. I refused to let them call my boundaries a punishment. After years of hurt, I finally had enough and said, "I wish you well, but I'm done." And that was it. I didn't look back, didn't wait for a reply, just blocked the number and moved on for my own peace of mind. Then, 2 months later, my brother Jeremy calls. Turns out, Dad had moved out. Karen, his partner, kicked him out because he was behind on the HVAC payments. He'd been lying about it, and when I stopped covering expenses, he ignored everything, thinking I'd eventually give in. The bills piled up, and once the repair guy showed up with a lien notice, Karen lost it and kicked him out, blaming him for everything. I was like, now she says that? Jeremy wasn't defending her, but he admitted that without me there as the buffer, they just fell apart. The news surprised me, just one sentence from our backyard chat changed everything. Jeremy and I stayed in touch, grabbing lunch now and then. He even started taking an interest in my life, and on my birthday, he surprised me with a homemade cake, like Mom used to make. I didn't even know he could bake. He said he owed me for all the times I'd stepped up before. Sure, things didn't magically get better overnight. Some wounds don't heal perfectly, but I found peace, and that was huge. Dad never replied to my last email, but 3 months later, he sent a letter. No address, just an apology. He admitted I was right, he got too used to me fixing everything. He didn't expect forgiveness and wasn't sure he deserved it. He hoped I'd remember the good times with him because he does. I read it, then tucked it away in a drawer. I wasn't angry or vindicated, just free. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's just quietly walking away and meaning it when you say, "You don't get to hurt me anymore." If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.